Hey, peace world. Thanks for pressing play on another Pay Me No Mind sports and entertainment video. I'm going to jump right into this. Please consider subscribing to the channel. If you're a fan of this show that I'm getting ready to talk about, I'd be interested in hearing your opinion on it, or, what's your thoughts for season 2, how you rated season 1 or whatever. It's not a straightforward review because it's kind of through my lens and how I look at my entertainment. And one thing, so I'm going to talk about Apple TV or Apple Plus's The Morning Show, starring Jennifer Aniston, Reese Witherspoon, and Steve Carell, and a host of, a really excellent cast in my opinion. But one thing that stood out to me several weeks ago was I heard this podcast. I got this hole in my shirt. I heard actor Sterling Brown on this on the I Am Athlete podcast with Brandon Marshall, Fred Taylor, Channing Crowder, and Chad Johnson. And they were talking about David Makes Man, which is another series I'm just watching week to week, and I'm a season behind. So that's why I really haven't talked more about David Makes Man. But Sterling Brown mentioned that black men, the word is in Hollywood and TV, black men don't watch TV. And so that's why some of the shows, that's why we get the shows that we get. That's why the roles for black men are what they are. That's the justification behind it. So with speaking specifically with The Morning Show, I like the show. A little shocked to see that the average Tomatometer is 61% from critics. I think it's a lot better than that. The average audience score is 93%. Over on IMDb, I think it's at like a little over 8 out of 10. I can say specifically it's, I thought I saw it, 8.4 out of 10, and that's with 61,000 views. I like the show, man. I was aware of it when it first came out. I just didn't want to buy another subscription or pay another subscription. I came into Apple a year free recently, moving over to iPhone for the first time. And a notification I kept getting was this free year of Apple Plus or whatever. So I was like, cool, I'm in. I always wanted to check out this show. Huge fan of Jennifer Aniston, mainly from her movie The Breakup with Vince Vaughn. That movie closely resembled my relationship with me and my wife, especially while we were dating, and some of the things that we go through in our own house. And so, Aniston kind of got on my radar for that. Thought I was gonna kind of be on the fence with where she is with this show being, a drama and not really being in comedy, with Aniston obviously coming to fame largely from her role on Friends. So I like the show, man. I watched it in one weekend. I watched the first season in one weekend. Now, I see some, with New York City being the backdrop to this, I see some similarities, and then it's media related. I see some similarities to Succession from HBO, which is getting ready to come back with its third season. I also wonder if BET's Being Mary Jane kind of was some inspiration, seeing what you could do with this, because Being Mary Jane starred Gabrielle Union, and she was a morning show host, I believe. And I thought, because it was on BET, because it starred Gabrielle Union, there was very little, there's very little buzz about it. But I thought it was a very well done show. And I thought Gabrielle Union deserved a lot more credit for her performance as Mary Jane Paul. What was her name? I can't remember, but I love the show. But again, it wasn't like I had 10 brothers I was talking about that show with. So anyway, The Morning Show. what I like about it, cast very well, extremely well. Let me look at some of the cast members down here. Billy Crudup as Corey Ellison. He did a fantastic job. Jennifer Aniston as Alex Levy, the main person on the morning show. She was hurt. She was hurt. Reese Witherspoon, I really didn't understand or realize that she was part of the show when I heard Aniston talking about this show a couple years ago. I really didn't realize that Reese was involved. Her character is very interesting because she's a disruptor. And then we also have Steve Carell, who plays Mitch. Where the hell is his name? Oh, Mitch Kessler, who never makes it to the morning show on camera because that's it all. The whole first season revolves around his sexual misconduct, where he was screwing women on the show. So I don't know where this show will fall with men because it's obviously dealing with the Me Too stuff. We know the 2 or 3 cats from real TV, and that's why this is interesting to me. I can't even think of Matt Lauer. Was that his name? Charlie Rose. Being 2 guys, Brian Williams, it might not have been sexual for him. I think he told some kind of lie or something. But even looking at right now with what's going on with Maria Taylor, ESPN, and Rachel Nichols was a hot story the last week and a half, over in the sports world. So, and then when the more and more we see that we're getting all of this peek behind the curtain with some of these personalities, with these TV personalities and media personalities being over on Twitter and having social media accounts, Instagram and whatnot. So this is all very relevant to me. And I think for men, I wouldn't cast this show aside because here they are talking about us and crucifying us, yada, yada, yada. I think they put some stuff out here and present it from a number of different ways. And it's really not about placing the blame on anybody and seeing somebody pay for their actions as much as it's kind of examining where everybody who was involved in it, their reason for being involved in it and allowing it to happen, and then trying to save their ass after it's become public. So you're watching the politics, and it's interesting to watch workplace politics. But you're seeing this show kind of move forward as Mitch Kessler is removed from the show and replaced abruptly with Reese Witherspoon. Obviously, that's going to be 2 women on the show versus the male-female element that they had. And then Witherspoon, you notice very early on, she's this firecracker. She's like I said, she's a disruptor. She comes from a different background. She was more of a reporter going out making stories. Now they bring her to the desk and have her kind of being more entertainment than news. And she's just outspoken and she's not willing to compromise the truth, which is a big clash with Alex because she's like, that's not what we do here. We just have this relationship that we maintain with America, this rapport, and it's going to be mostly feel-good stuff and informative and household trends, fashion, it's not trying to really delve into the bigger issues in the world and whatnot. And Witherspoon doesn't want to accept this cushy new job that she has. She just continuously tries to blow it up. And then Billy Crudup, who plays Corey Ellison, is this vice president or whatever. He loves it because he wants to present new to it. He wants to redefine that relationship of the morning show and America and the audience. So then we see the battle between them and this other morning show. So I just like what they're giving us here, in addition to the whole sexual misconduct angle of it. Switching over to that, Mitch Kessler is trying to salvage his life. And he doesn't think it's fair at what's happening to him, because he doesn't see himself as a real predator as much as he was just a popular guy. He showed interest in these women and slept with a few of them. Interestingly, two of them were black women. But the funny thing with his story, an excellent look at what he's going through, is he considers doing a documentary to defend himself and hopefully get his clear, exonerate himself and get back to working. So he goes to pair with this influential director who has also has seen his career decimated from what he did, who's played by Martin Short. And he wants to go do this documentary on Me Too and rape, sexual misconduct, and all of that type of stuff. And as he's talking to Martin Short, he realizes that Martin Short is a true animal. And he's like, man, we're not the same. So he squashes that, and then he tries to go work his way back to being accepted in the eyes of the public again another way. And so at the same time, we see the relationship, the old and new clash versus Jennifer or Alex and Bradley, which is Reese Witherspoon. That relationship isn't going as well, but that was a play from Alex, because they wouldn't give her her new contract and they wouldn't allow her to select. One of her writers, I think they call it, is that she wanted final say on her co-host. And now that she's been screwed over with Mitch messing up everything, the balance of their show, she in the future, she wants more say so. They don't want to give her that, because actually they were planning to get, spoiler alert, they were planning to get rid of Alex when we first get introduced to the show. So Alex takes control of everything. That's another big strong theme here, is women's empowerment. She goes and announces while she's receiving this award that her new co-host is Brady Jackson, instead of allowing Corey Ellison, the VP guy, to work his plan of gradually bringing Brady Jackson along. So once that's set in motion, everybody has to adjust to this big changeup. The brother, Daniel Henderson, I think is his name on the show, they were actually going to bring him in to be the co-anchor to keep that male-female dynamic. And again, quick note here, the one black guy that's on the show is gay. So I know right there, some brothers is out, some men are out because of that. He doesn't have a huge role, but one of the interesting and kind of most appealing aspects of the show, and what kind of pulled me in, was the production team and the writers and the producers, which Chip Black is like the overall producer of the show, and then Mia Jordan, played by Karen Pittman. Karen Pittman is one of my favorite actresses for a number of different reasons. And I just love that she continued. This show, I think, finally allows her to break through and get away from the strong black women or black woman bit parts that she was being cast in on Yellowstone, Homeland, where she was like this very strong character challenging a very strong lead like Carrie Mathison in Homeland. But I won't get into all of that. But here, this allows her to get away from that. And I think she has a great performance. And so Chip, the producer, is trying to save his job as things turn on him, because the president of the network, a guy named Fred, I think Fred Micklin, as we get deeper in, and I'm getting ready to bring this to a close, but as we get deeper into the series, into the first season, this moves from Mitch to Fred and Chip, the producer, who allowed things to happen. They covered this up. And then that's what Reese Witherspoon becomes obsessed with her fight to tell the truth. She wants to bring everything down. And then on the same coin, Alex is just like, I want to maintain what I have. It's my show. And so, and then it's these different alliances that get turned on their head because Alex and Chip are very close and came up together and built this thing together. But Alex, once she figures out, or once once it's revealed that Chip allowed some of the sexual misconduct to happen, he's got to go. So Chip is busy trying to figure a way to save his skin. Corey, the executive vice president or whatever, he's trying to flip everything on his head. His approval of Alex changes. Does she stay? Does she leave? Then, Corey is trying to get rid of Fred. Fred is trying to save his skin, his own hide. So all of this stuff just gets flipped on its head. A couple of things that really stood out to me was, looking at Alex here. You look at an older employee trying to hold off the upstart. I think that was done really well. But her family life has suffered while she's been like this queen of morning television. Her family has really suffered. And so I love this one episode, 6 or 7. She has to tell her daughter that her and her husband are finally getting this divorce for this marriage that's been held up. It's been a facade for a decade or something. And she has to really tell her daughter, screw you. You're blaming this shit on me. The network is coming for me. I'm trying to save everything. I don't have time for you right now. I've been doing some stuff for you. You don't realize what I've sacrificed and my lack of happiness in my personal life. I'm just supposed to be this smiling face on TV. Again, with Mitch Kessler, we learn so much from his point of view. His wife leaves him in like the first or second episode as these allegations come to light. Reese Witherspoon's background with her family, and the way she's built, the way she is, and she's such a fighter. You get some peeks at that. Corey Ellison is a guy we kind of don't like, but he's a disruptor too. And then he's like power hungry too. So it's great stuff to watch with him. Chip, the producer, keeping everything, the ringleader or whatever, the circus ringleader, trying to balance everything. And then he's a very loyal guy and a very good guy. It's another spoiler alert. We actually learned in like episode 9 or 10 that he set this whole thing in motion because he was the one he was the, what do they call it? The whistleblower who passed it to the New York Times, this investigative reporter over there, passed it to her that Mitch had been sleeping with these women. But it backfires on him because at the end of the show, he's fired. So it's just a lot of interesting drama that takes place. Another good performance is by Gugu. I actually love what they do with Karen Pittman as Mia Jordan and Gugu mbatha-raw. We get to see, right now I'm seeing on an outlet like Black Enterprise, the struggles of Black women, one of the most educated groups or demographics in our country, but they're struggling to, break through the ceilings, the glass ceilings and whatnot, especially in tech. And so here, just watching their roles are very interesting for me. I think that's the appeal as a Black fan of the show. That's something that you can tune into. But I think the show is done really well, and I'm looking forward to season 2.